I'm going to walk you through a process of creating a GitHub repo, a Git repo, putting it on GitHub, and then send it to you. I'm giving this to you just so you have reference to this, but I'm thinking you're going to copy paste the file, the essential files out of this, but you'll have a full working example. So when I type in my terminal git status, it says not a Git repository. So in this folder that I'm in, which is ACC audio-Claude, so this is the acceleration audio that Claude made for me when I described the project. This is doing it in React. So I'm giving you this as an example of a way to solve this problem using React. The solution that it has is a little bit different of a problem than we have, in that this one you just click upload. Actually, I should show it to you. So this is the version of the app that Claude made. You guys know Claude. This one, you choose a music file. Let's see what I have in here. Here we go, something about the Agile Samurai. It's going to work.
Okay, let's talk about that. You know the one. You've poured weeks into crafting this perfect project plan. Maybe it's even got Gantt charts. It looks beautiful. And then, well, Murphy's Law kicks in hard.
Okay. This allows you to configure the min speed, or the start speed, the max speed, and the acceleration, like how much it accelerates. I think this is a very small amount, and that's why you couldn't hear it increasing. Let me see if this works.
Doesn't it just suddenly your lead developer gets poached?
And you see it showing what
the client keeps adding just one more thing, or maybe the deadline gets yanked forward.
Exactly. And that perfect plan, it just...
and in this one, you see it does, you choose a file and upload it to this server. In this case, the server is running on my computer. Okay, so this is, and it also has this UI that is very purple and a little bit like glass morphic, which I don't think y'all did. So y'all have a very different UI. So now I want you to see how you can structure the code with React, but you're going to have to integrate your UI into this structure. Okay, so here I'm going to share all this code with you by creating a Git repo by saying git init. Now if I say git status, it should say, hey, there's a bunch of files here that are not tracked in your repository. You see all these files that are red, and I want to say git add space dot to just add all of them. All the files and folders are going to be tracked in my repository. Now I can say git commit -m to create a git commit message, and I'm going to call this the initial commit. So now all those are committed, and because I like the way this interfaces to GitHub, I'm going to say GitHub space dot, because I have the command line program for the GitHub app. So I'm going to add this repository, click publish repository. I don't want it to be private. I think I'm going to call this ACC audio-react-claude. I will put it under freed. This is acceleration audio in React made by Claude. I'm going to publish this repo. It's going to go to the particular URL that it goes to. By default, it'll be github.com/org/name of repo that I just typed in. If you click view on GitHub, it'll open this. So this here, github.com/FHU/ACC audio React Claude. I'm going to send this to you by Discord. You can do whatever you want to. If you prefer, you're welcome to fork it if you want to, or if it's easier to just like use it as a standalone reference and then bring it into the repo that you already made, you could do that. Can you handle this much freedom? So here's what I'm saying though. If you submit code that looks 99% like the code that I'm giving you, and including the UI looks 99% like this UI, you're not going to get a good grade. I think what I'm also going to have to do, I actually want you to make generally this kind of code work for your UI. So the difference is you've got those 10 songs or whatever that were the open songs that are in the playlist that is the static playlist. So that's still how it's going to be. You with me? You're going to show the album art, which this doesn't have anything like that. There's no uploading. Okay. Even if your UI looks worse than this, do not copy this UI. Are you with me? So the point to me is that you're learning something by looking at an example that's a good example. So what I think I'm going to do is next week, instead of having class one day, I think we should have a very brief meeting, like a 5 to 8 minute meeting with individually. And I'm going to ask you a question about how your code works or how this code works. It'll have to be after you've submitted this. So I want you to, so I realized I didn't know when this is due yet. Have I said? No, because I haven't posted it. It's just imaginary. So what I want you to know is you're going to be called to be accountable for the code that you submit, to explain how your code does its job. Because the point of this is to learn how React works, not to make the best accelerating audio player ever. Does that make sense? Okay. Right. So I don't like that either. I think it may have to be the week after that. Okay. So if you, oh, not that. I would like to now kind of generally walk through this and give you an overview of what's going on in this code. Okay? Claude made all this. It didn't work initially. It didn't do the acceleration. And when I said this acceleration, it's not doing the acceleration thing, I think the problem is somewhere in these lines of code. It said, oh, you're exactly right. Blah, 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 blah. This is what's going on. I fixed it, which was kind of amazing to me. I didn't trust it. Okay. I'm going to collapse a lot of these functions so that we can get a better overview of what's going on. Okay? Okay. So we have use state, use effect. We know those really well. And we have a new one called use ref. I'm going to hover over this, and maybe you can kind of read it. Use ref is a way to do something that's easy to do in plain old JavaScript, vanilla, that is, I think, not always as necessary in React. And that is, you need a reference to one object on the page so that you can do something programmatically with it. It's very much like when we said document.getElementById, we were getting a reference to an element on the page. So we'll see how useRef is going to come up in this. All right. Notice at this moment, like this is sort of bad software engineering, there is only one component. It's the app component. Everything is in the component. This is the way Claude on the interactive chat writes code, which makes sense because it doesn't write in a bunch of different files. It would need a whole folder with a project. You with me? It just writes everything in one big file. So there actually is another component down here, the settings row component. So if we were to collapse all this, you'll see that there's a accelerating music player, which is basically our app component that has everything in it except the settings row. The settings row is what it's calling this, where there's like a setting and then a number. So there are 3 of those, so it makes sense to make its own component. But it didn't choose to make anything else a component. which on the whole feels a little bit gross to me, that I would rather slice it out. All right, at the top you see there are a bunch of use states. So if you look over these kind of the variable names, you can see these are all the different kinds of things that you need to keep track of and that you may need to be reactive to. Like they're going to change, and you want the change to just automatically appear in the UI. So the current track, if it's playing, what's the current time? That makes sense, right? And you can see over here they have some initial values. All right. Let's look at this audio ref, which says use ref. So this is the way we're going to say we need a reference to an element on this page. And the element on this page that we need is the audio element. So let's see where that is. If I come down to my return statement where I'm defining all my UI, actually if I just look up audio ref, you can see the other side of this. We're going to use it in a bunch of programming, but what I wanted to show you is oh, it's the last one. We have this audio element, just like we did before. And the audio element, we have this ref equals audio ref. So this is the thing that says declaratively, this element that's in the HTML, the TSX, the JSX, I want to be able to grab onto programmatically with this name, audio ref. Does that make sense? So now this variable audio ref, whenever we want to call a method, call a function on the audio player object, we access it through that. And that's what these other 18, 17 references are. So let's take a look at one of these. I don't want to start there. Okay, let's look at this one. Toggle play. Guess what that does? It's well named, right? So this is a function that's going to toggle play pause. First, it does some error checking. If the current track doesn't exist, then it shows an error message saying, hey, you got to have an audio file if you're going to play pause. And then it returns. Okay, so when we get down here, there's definitely a current track. We have a is playing state. If it's currently playing, then we should pause. Oh, here's the thing. The API for this, for a reference, a use ref, is there's always a .current. So the .current property is the reference to the current thing it's pointing at. So you're always going to say any ref.current. So this is pausing the audio player. Because we are keeping up with this state, right? This is changing the fact that it's playing, then we set is playing to false in this situation. Otherwise, if we were not playing, then we play, and we set is playing to true. That's pretty readable, right? Like, you had a function like this before, right? You didn't have to keep up with state in this way, but you might have. Did you have a variable that was like, is it currently playing? You probably had to. So I think a lot of this is not even drastically different than the code that you wrote to manage the same functionality in vanilla JavaScript. So this is a function that we've written, and this toggle play button should be called at the right time, which I think would just be when you click the play button. Is there another time when it should be called? I don't know. Oh, spacebar, I did not add the keyboard shortcuts to this. But let's see, I'm going to Control C, Control F, toggle play. It's only in one place. So on this play button, its on-click event is wired up to be bound to the toggle play function. Yeah? You'll notice that all this code is done in Tailwind. So if you're interested in learning some Tailwind tricks, you could see here how they made these fancy buttons and with the shadows and stuff. I honestly hate the backwards and forwards emojis. Look terrible. The play looks okay. They didn't use an icon library. I think they just used emojis. Yes. Remind me to come back to that. Let's just do it now since we're talking about it. So Lucide icons. Guide? Here, Lucide React. All right. If we're in React, we should use Lucide like this. So we're using npm install lucide-react. Yeah, you see this magic? Copy that. And then for any icon you want to get out, you say import icon name from Lucide React. And then you can use that icon just like it's a component, because it is a component. You seeing this? And apparently you can pass in the color and the size as well. I don't know if it would work with Tailwind, how Tailwind would work. Apparently it has a color, a size, stroke width, and an absolute stroke width. Okay? Does this make sense? So to me, this is the better way of using Lucid as well. I guess we should try it and see if it works. Yeah? You want to do it? Let's do it. So I'm going to open up a terminal. I'm going to paste in that command npm I lucide react. We're going to install that stuff. Let's see, how did they get such a good play button? So play and pause actually look okay, but backwards and forwards look gross. So surely that's an icon here, right? Is it called back? This guy? Arrow line to left. Okay, let's see what the name of that component is in here. So at the top, I would like to say import arrow left to line. Looks like it's this. And it knows to get it out of this. Why is this mad at me? Because I never used it. So now that I've got that, I put it on Discord. I think then I just want to put that component here. This is arrow line to left. Does it need some? It has no, oh, sorry, I need a slash. I'm thinking it'll do something even without me defining the size and color and stuff. Surely there's a default, right? Okay. Does not look great. It's not centered in that button, but you see that that's there. And on the whole, to me, do you see how writing in React, and when you get to use components like this, ends up creating a much more readable markdown than when you've got that I tag that has a, I mean, that's still readable, I guess. You okay with this? So we should move to this kind of Lucide React. Okay, back to our overview. See a more, well, here's seeking backward and seeking forward. So this is both to go 10 seconds forward, 10 seconds backward. You see this elegance here where they just set the audio references current time equal to math.max, the bigger of 0 and current time minus 10. So that'll make sure it never goes negative. Likewise, when you seek forward, it's the minimum of the current duration, the full duration of the song, and current time plus 10. There's a nice format seconds so that this returns something that looks pretty. This JavaScript to me is something you almost always want to have when you're dealing with time. Okay. Let's look at this use effect. So this use effect, you remember use effect is a way to, is this the only use effect? Yeah. Use effect is a way of saying when these dependencies change or when the component mounts, run some code. This code is a little complicated. I give you that. And I also want to show you a new thing that this does. The way that Claude chose to do this, which was a little different than the way that I had done it before, is using set interval. The set interval function in JavaScript allows you to create basically a timer for a certain number of milliseconds. In this case, it's 500. And this is saying every 500 milliseconds, run some code that's in this set interval function. What's the code that's in the set interval function? It's all of this. Okay? So after some error checking, it essentially figures out what's the current progress as a percent. It figures out what the speed range is, and using the acceleration amount that we've entered, uses some math to figure out what the current acceleration, this new speed should be. But it does clamp the speed so that it never exceeds the maximum. So we do all that math so that we can say the current playback rate is this playback rate. We set the playback speed. This is setting it on the audio object, so the audio object actually starts getting faster. But then since we show it, we need to update the state so it shows in the state. So this is going to happen every 500 milliseconds. You with me? And I believe when you do set interval, it automatically happens every 500 milliseconds. If you want to cancel it, you can do that. And you can cancel it with by clearing the interval. So that's why up here it essentially removes that set interval and then adds it back. Notice that this use effect here, this code that changes the acceleration is dependent on is playing start speed, max speed, and acceleration. So if you change any of those, then this code will rerun. Which makes sense, right? Like if you stop playing it, then it'll stop doing that speed every 500 milliseconds. Yeah. If we jump down to the JSX, there's a bunch of tailwind here, but it's actually pretty nicely labeled. Oh, no, have you seen this? This is the way you have to write a comment in React so that it's handled correctly. Nope. I think it's because, I don't know. Somehow that must not be a legal JSX character or something. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I know that this is the right way of making a comment because you're actually in JavaScript land, not HTML land. In my opinion, it might be nice to take each of these slices and make it a component, and then put a reference to each of those components. If you do that, though, you're going to have to pass down children, and you're going to have to call event handlers that are in the app, because that audio reference is only going to exist here, I believe. And that's the main thing that most of these things change. So that's why I said I kind of had some buyer's regret on this assignment, because I think it's not the most componentizable app. And Claude kind of reinforced that to me because they only created one component. What questions do you have when you look at this code? I know it's a lot, but you have already solved this problem. So you're kind of already familiar with the problem space. Their seek forward and seek backward here do 10 seconds forward, 10 seconds backward, because this one only ever supports one track. There isn't the idea of forward next, so yeah, you do get to add that. So that's good. There's more work for you to do. I guess you will need to look up how to do keyboard handling in React. Yes. Oh, did I not? If I didn't define it, then that's on me. But for a multi-song thing, I think you should be able to. What I intended was the buttons would go forward and next, and the keyboard shortcuts would go 10 seconds forward, backward, or whatever, however many seconds I said. It was what I meant. But if I didn't state it, then that's on me. Not. Is that a question, Kevin?
You have the
Yeah.
at 2. And
I can't imagine that this code would look for that. I think it just wouldn't work.
Okay, let's talk about that feeling. You know the one. You've poured weeks into crafting this perfect project plan. Maybe it's even got Gantt charts. It looks beautiful.
I don't know.
the start, it's not, see,
I think what this is doing is at the very first 500 milliseconds, it is 2x, I think. And then as soon as it resets it, every time it resets it, it says, okay, based on the duration that you're through it, so if you're 1% through it, then you've experienced 1% of the acceleration. So it ends up resetting it back down. But you could be smarter about that and say, hey, this is your start speed and your end speed, and just interpolate between them. You know what I'm saying? So in that case, it could get slower over time, which I learned in physics is acceleration. Physics. Acceleration is any kind of change in velocity, whether it's up or down or rotationally, right? Ethan's with me. Like deceleration is apparently not a word in physics, is what I remember learning.
really.
I mean, all this to me was kind of extra. I was okay for you to just hard code what your start, stop, and your kind of the curve of acceleration. This is better, I think, to allow the user to have control. But you could also like have an error condition and just say, hey, start speed, we're only doing regular acceleration, which is increasing the speed. I guess that should be this way for you. And as such, you can't have a start speed that's more than the max speed. You could say that if you want. That's up to you. Good question. I could see how it might be nice to be consistent. And right now, there's a weirdness here where it may start at 2x and immediately jump back down to 1. JT? I want you to not clone it, fork it, so that you have full control. So on this, and if you don't want to fork my repo at all, you just make your own repo, and then you can copy paste whatever parts of this you want to put in, or just use this as a reference, and you make something that has the same behavior. Then you also shared your repo with me. So this, in this sense, I'm kind of giving up all that control and putting you in charge so you can get some get some experience managing GitHub repos and stuff, and React projects from scratch. You okay? Okay, I want you to marinate for a couple minutes, and then I want to come back and I got a couple announcements. Look at this code and see if you have any questions. So you're feeling it. When should this assignment be due? Monday, this coming Monday? What gets you out of class? What can you offer me? Like, what's the best you got? Mhm. I want y'all to get the best education possible. You're spending so much money to be here. It would be disrespectful of me to just cancel class on a whim, wouldn't it?
I think we can understand doing that.
What
We're talking about like
doing those like kind of
about the Wednesday after fall break.
yeah, even this Monday after fall break is really pushing it for me. Oh. Like I just gave you the whole thing basically done. Don't you, like if there was ever a time to have a really short turnaround time, it would be on this assignment, wouldn't it? Nima disagrees. No rationale at all, just confidence. He's going to go far. I do feel like I can't.
Even if like word,
Mhm.
you don't really know it when you read all.
Mhm. So if this were due Wednesday, if this were due Monday after fall break, and we had meetings that are basically like an oral exam, where I ask you some questions to see if you know how your code works, and then I grade you on it. If we did that on Wednesday or Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday next month after fall break, but the Tuesday and Wednesday, I mean, if anybody wants to do it next week, you could. But if to do the exam, but you could go after fall break as well to do the exam. But I guess I kind of like to get the code done and submitted here. Then that would work with my, like, I don't think I can fit all 15 of you on Wednesday before fall break, even if I cancel class. 5 times 15 is, what's 5 times 15? 70, is it 75? So that would take me 75 minutes at 5 minutes apiece. It's way more than 50 minutes. I mean, I guess, do y'all want to, I could be available to meet on Thursday or Friday if y'all are going to be around, right? If you're just going to be in your dorm, we could just meet up. It'd be a good use of time, wouldn't it? Oh, you're going to be at home? It's a bold choice. Um, hmm. So that's my proposal. Wednesday by Monday. Meaning if I could get like half y'all done on Wednesday afternoon, then I'd only have to do the other half on Monday. Does that make sense? Like is anybody going to be here this Wednesday? That's right. Yeah, I'm wondering. Does anybody want it? Would anybody choose to do it early? One. If it's beforehand, no.
Right.
Hmm.
Now, is there?
So yeah, I would definitely say this is do it like midnight Wednesday night, which is effectively sometime Thursday. But I want to do this thing in person with you to have the conversation, and that requires us to be on campus in my office. And I just thought if I could even get a third of you done, that would help. Then make it feasible to do everybody else on Wednesday. I think on Monday afterward, I don't think I can cancel class both days though. I'm just going to cancel class one day, and I'm thinking that cancellation of class could be Wednesday because I would be meeting with 5 people or 8 people. You with me? And it sounded like I had a soft yes from 3 of you. So can 2 to 3 more people volunteer to be tribute? Yes.
I mean, is there for
Oh, I think you have to do that through GitHub.
Oh, you have to, okay.
I think that's a property of GitHub to fork a repo on it, I think. Ella was a maybe? Is that what y'all want to do next week then? I guess if I can't get at least 5 people, then I'm gonna like press hard and be annoying about it. Because I can't, I know that I can't manage 15 5-minute meetings on Monday of 2 Mondays from now. You with me? Right, you have a version and be able to explain it. Oh, name it like it. Okay. Okay, this sounds like enough to me to have consensus, and that means there are some lucky few then that get another 4 or 5 days to before their oral exam.
Now that you have your grace, sure.
Always. Yes, I think there would be more grace or higher expectation for the people who had more time to prepare. That's only fair, right? Yeah. Okay, so important thing for Monday, the Monday that is most upcoming to us. Are you hearing me? Monday, the 13th, is our special day for the prospective students, future students who are coming to the Maroon and Gold Day. So during this class, Dr. Barr and I are going to be exciting and engaging and inspiring these young people to be at Freed-Hardeman and to love science and discovery through the lens of quantum. And I want y'all to be there as ambassadors for FHU and ambassadors for quantum. This event will be happening in ARC 150, you know, the big room in the front of the library. Have you been in there? We've got we got a cool experiment where you get to wear these cool diffraction glasses and see some cool stuff. There'll be a component where we kind of mix and mingle a little bit with these high schoolers, where they might get to interact with you, and you can interact with them and not be weird, right? Right? So I really want y'all to be there. So this is Class Monday. Class Monday will be in ARC 150. That's the library. It's sort of across from the coffee shop. And there'll be I think we had 40 registrants so far. I think that's just students. I don't know if their parents will come to this or go to something else. So we might kind of fill up that room, and we'll be sharing stickers, playing some games like some Kahoot kinds of games, and giving out some swag. Okay? So I will count you absent if you do not come to ARC 150. That is class on Monday. And bring your best quantum game. Don't dress really slobbishly, but dress like yourself too. You see what I'm saying? Like, people might judge you, so make it a good judgment. You absolutely must wear the hat. That is key NEMA. But I'm just saying, just put your best face forward to make a good impression on these people that Freed-Hardeman is a cool place to go and a place where they might want to consider themselves. Thank you for giving me the 2 minutes. I hope you have a good weekend. Many blessings. Let me know if you have questions on stuff.